Welcome back to the What is Maven podcast. I'm Jeff Sarris.
And I'm Amara Andrew.
This week we're talking about patience. I should look at you, not her. This week we're talking about
look at me.
Patience, when you've got it.
When you don't. And what to do next.
But yeah, patience is something that's so important, and we differ on our levels of patience.
He has more patience with me.
She's testing my patience. No.
Always.
But yeah, so this week we're talking about patience. We were talking about it a lot yesterday together.
Yes.
And I think this will be a really good topic to dive into. How's the volume in your headphones? Mine's a little hot.
Mine's a little low.
A little low? How's that?
There we go.
Okay.
I think I'm deaf. When I was working out, I was listening to music really loud. So I think I can't hear right now.
It's okay. And we're recording from the floor in our living room. In case you are not watching, you should be on YouTube watching this right now. But this is where we sit.
You could watch me strangle him earlier. Speaking of patience.
But yeah, I mean, typically for us, we're standing desk or sitting or being active. We don't really sitting on the floor.
Well, we rarely sit in chairs. We have many chairs in here and we don't use any of them.
It's just comfortable to sit on the floor.
I love sitting on the floor. Like I grew up, well, that was weird, but I grew up.
You have not grown up?
Never. But I grew up sitting on the floor primarily just because, I don't know, it's nice and it's here. So I don't know, sit on it.
So where do we start with patience?
Well, do you consider yourself a patient person? This is where our conversation started yesterday. I have no patience for his answer. Bonk.
Yes.
Oh my God. Can you get there quicker? I am in a hurry.
Would you consider yourself a patient person?
This was interesting because I've never thought of patience for myself. Like I try to work on things for myself personally. I know you don't at all. So
never. I never try to grow. Growth is against my...
It's so gross.
Anyone listening to this wouldn't even know. But my whole purpose of life, if one has one, for me, mine is growth. Because if we're not growing, we're only dying. That's exactly the sole purpose for my entire life. But go on.
Yes, and I agree wholeheartedly. And I've never thought...
Yeah, you do. I don't know. Keep going.
I've never thought of patience for myself. Like I know I can be extremely impatient with things, but I try to kind of take the approach of like, well, what else am I doing or why? I kind of try to take the Buddhist philosophy whenever I'm feeling angry, upset, sad, whatever, and just be like, okay, well, why am I feeling this? Like allow yourself to feel the emotion and then just be like, okay, well, why do I feel this right now? Like, what is it that's like that, like, what's triggering something? I hate the word trigger. It's so overused now, but what's that thing that's just like igniting that like sadness or fire or like, I'm going to kill this person. I've never killed anybody that you know about. And like, why do I feel that? And trying to kind of figure it out. So then, oh, okay. So now I know in the future I can totally avoid that. So TLDR, I think I'm mostly patient, but I do have a breaking point. Like I used the analogy yesterday of like when you're waiting for a cup of coffee, if it takes 5 minutes, whatever, 10 minutes, I would start to get pretty irritated because I'm like, it's just fucking pour the thing. What are you doing back there? But that's I think also sort of it's an expectation because we kind of were talking about this yesterday.
I kind of wanted to touch on that specifically, that it is an expectation of things outside of our control. And this is going to tie into starting your business, being extremely successful and sort of how to become more patient. Yeah. How to become more patient. I said how to become more patient.
Yes. Welcome to our Patreons.
But yeah, so it's going to be about those topics. But first you wanted to talk just practically as us, but it's expectations. That's what it really comes down to when we think about it. So like I have innately always been patient. This isn't going to be about expectations, but you know what I'm going to say. But the one thing growing up, like when you would get, say, candy at Halloween, you would get it all. Some people would eat it all right away. I would save all my favorite ones. But the problem would be by the time I'd finally open it, they were usually chocolate. Are you drooling?
I literally just spit
thinking
a huge
about
glob.
Thinking about what I'm about to say.
I'm like,
Halloween candy. But by the time I would eat the chocolate specifically, it would all have turned white. Not bad. It's just so old because I delayed that gratification because I was saving it for that moment that I would love it. And that's really like how I'm wired.
that was so weird to me to learn because I was like, why as a kid would you wait to eat your candy? Like I would also ration it out to try to get it to last until like Christmas or something. But I mean, that was like best case scenario because then it's like, oh, okay, then I get more candy for Christmas. So it's just
I had
like
a candy jar.
What was your candy jar?
It was an ice cream cone.
Oh, that's cute. So you put
Like
candy
you-
in your ice cream.
You would have really loved it, but anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I just kept mine in my pumpkin. So
I mean, I had a year-round candy jar, though. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I wasn't allowed to. We didn't really have candy or sugar in my house. We had like weird organic sodas and stuff.
See, that's what's
Anyway,
funny. Like, I had access to it all the time, but I didn't go for it.
That's interesting.
I'm not a sugar person.
Yeah.
I collected candy.
Well, that's fun. What a weird little kid. No, I'm just teasing. You were a little cutie. Where were we going with that? Oh,
So with
patience.
you.
Yeah. What
So
about
this
him?
is driving me nuts. There's like a hair right here.
Oh, see, impatient.
Clean.
There we
Okay.
go. Study of impatience. Patience is something that is an art form, I feel. Like it is a constant practice to try to get to be patient.
I agree on the practice. The art form, I don't know about, but
Well.
practice for sure.
I'm talking out loud. I'm thinking as I talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a practice for sure because it's something that you constantly have to be aware if you have those feelings. Like we looked up the dictionary definition for patience and it was essentially just having a feeling of anger or anxiousness around something
Well,
because it's not being fulfilled in a timely manner that you yourself think should be done.
yeah, your expectations of things outside your control is
Yes.
sort of it's what we were talking about together. And then we looked up the definition and basically it was that. So basically patience is a philosophical concept, even though I've never heard anyone talk about it that way.
Yeah.
But it is realizing what's outside of our control is, I just like this quote, but it's nothing is neither good nor bad. Only thinking makes it so.
Mm-hmm.
And once we can really internalize that and realize that waiting in line for coffee or whatever it is, we're being impatient about something that isn't within our control. So it is us trying to invoke our own control over something that is uncontrollable.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we could have controlled everything up until that point in a manner of speaking. Because like when I worked at a coffee shop, I would have like the reason why I thought coffee specifically was because I'd have a lot of very impatient customers, even though I literally would run through the whole place because it was like the morning rush. We were by a train station, blah, blah, blah. But somebody would be so impatient every morning. And I finally just said, why don't you wake up 5 minutes earlier if you know you have to come get your coffee? He looked at me like he wanted me to die right then and there. But I was like, stop making my morning hell. Like, stop being so impatient. Never was late ever again.
Really?
Never. He was never in a rush after that. Also, he didn't want to deal with me, but
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like there's some consequence.
but I was
to
like,
that.
if you know you're coming to get coffee, don't be impatient. Like, I'm literally trying to help 100 people in this place right now. But anyway, it is definitely a practice. Something that I struggle with too, specifically for me, is social media and trying to grow a following. And essentially,
This is very common too. This isn't just you.
everybody, even people who are like, I'm not worried about the views, the likes, the followers. A couple months later, they come back and they're like, why don't I have 100 million views like these other people? And it's like, well, how long have you been doing this, Betty Sue? She's like, well, 2 months. And it's like, that's why you need to. I mean, people work on things for decades before they actually get anywhere. Like, who are you bringing up yesterday?
Who are you?
this is great.
Well, yeah, because I mean the stories are endless. Like you could go to Mr. Beast. I mean, Mr. Beast I think he did hundreds of episodes, hundreds of YouTube videos before he had 1,000 subscribers or something like that. Some
Yeah.
number that was like, oh wow, he's the biggest YouTuber now. But the lead up for that was enormous. He
Well,
was
yeah.
sitting in his car recording his videos in between classes at college, or he would skip classes and write
I
and then
think it was
record them.
skip classes.
And it was like just because this is what he wanted to do. They weren't pretty. They weren't like whatever. He was putting in the time with his community too, patiently breaking down the YouTube algorithm every single day with a group of like a dozen people.
Exactly. Like working towards something and making really garbage videos. Like eventually you will get somewhere because you'll learn from that and be like, oh, okay, this didn't necessarily work. What can I do better? X, Y, and Z.
That's what I wanted to touch on real quick, is exactly that.
This is literally how we talk all the time.
Our taste always outpaces our skill.
100%.
Because we got into something because we have great taste. I love podcasting. I love that medium. And then you start and you're like, I am horrible at this. But you know that you're not up to the bar that you want to be. But that bar will always will always grow. And I just wanted to say real quick, I think that patience can easily be looked at.
No patience to wait.
But it can easily be looked at as relinquishing control. Which is
difficult for most people.
But wait, I think it actually isn't. I think many times people are impatient because they are trying to exert control. Thinking of the opposite as relinquishing control in like a negative way. But when you're patient and you're relinquishing control, so say about creating a YouTube channel, creating a social media platform, you're patient. This is going to take me 24 months to see results. Okay, good. Now I'm going to sit back and wait. No. You're going to take control. You're patient and in control of your outcomes in that you are doing something, because it's easy to be like, oh, well, I won't see results for 24 months. Let me watch Black Mirror. Mm-hmm. Let me do this. Let me post. I post every day. I'm just going to keep posting. No, you're going to keep posting. You're going to see what works. You're going to adjust and pivot. You're going to take control. Your patience is giving you control rather than relinquishing it. So like, you're relinquishing control over the things outside of your control. I tried to think of another word, but the things outside of you, relinquishing that control, but taking ownership of what I'm doing and how I'm impacting my future.
Yep.
I could see it in your face. I knew you were going to yep me.
No, I was listening.
But yeah, I think that's the whole thing, though. It's control. You know what's silly?
What?
MAVEN is a videography platform. And this is 2 weeks in a row now where my camera has given trouble. Last week was overheating because we keep the house pretty warm. Today, I guess I didn't clear my memory card.
Well, yeah, before we were using my card or my camera.
Well, yeah, I know, but then I started using mine. But yeah, that's the whole thing is this show is both.
But it's real
patience.
Because these things do happen. Like we do professional videography for a living, but things do still happen. Like it doesn't matter what your level is.
But I also just want to say that this show is about patience.
Yes.
In that we're not trying to grow this show rapidly. This is us stretching our legs, getting started on like more of the education side of entrepreneurship. But we're also not putting in a ton of effort into the production. This isn't a big video production. The whole point is to make this easy and also showcase you don't need to overthink things.
And I think that just made me think of something. I had a couple thoughts when you were talking before, and that's why I just went, yep, because I forgot all my other thoughts. I need to start writing them down. But in relation to that, I already just lost it. Damn it. Oh, that's why so many creators, I think, burn out. Because they're impatient. So they're making 700 videos a week and they're not taking the time to be like, okay, what worked in those? What didn't work? Like it's tricky because you need to make a lot of stuff in order to get better. But I feel like it's the very careful balance of making a lot of stuff, but not just making a lot of stuff to get clicks and views. And I don't know, we take a much more artistic approach to content creation versus a lot of other people who see it just like as a money grab, which is totally fine. Like neither's right or wrong. But that's why I think burnout is so prevalent, just because you are constantly making stuff and you are not patient to get to where you will get eventually. And I just remembered the other thing from earlier I wanted to touch upon. Something that I noticed in myself from this past week, how we were talking about podcasts and you got better at speaking and things like that. And we got better at our craft as we've been going on.
Yeah, outside of the show, we were talking about that.
Yes. So on his own podcast, on my own podcast.
Podcast.
Hello.
We have a lot of inside jokes and inside voices.
Yes, we do.
So you might hear them sometimes and not have any context, and you'll never get
Have
context.
patience. But I was recording a couple new. I was thinking. One day you might learn. Probably not. Anyway, we'll just laugh at it. But I was recording a bunch of different Etsy videos this past week just because that is something that, I'm passionate about and I have a lot of knowledge in it now. So I'm like, I might as well just share it with people because then I had a lot of issues. So this could probably help people.
I'm passionate about the business side of it. It's
100%.
Tiny little side hustle.
Because it's like I see these things now that could be better and I don't see a lot of different Etsy creators talking about it. So it's like, I might as well just like put that out there for people. But I noticed because I have been on my own podcast talking constantly to a camera, filling 30 minutes or 40 minutes or so, literally just of me trying to be entertaining, but also informing because it's a art news podcast, whatever. Go check it out.
By Amara.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Okay.
I forgot your name.
Anywhere you do your podcasts.
But talking constantly has made me better at being able to talk like this and thinking better on my feet. Because before, I would have to plan everything out, plan out all my scripts, and I would read it verbatim. Exactly. And just seeing some people that I've worked with too, how they also do exactly the same thing, which I find funny because I see it now. I'm like, you don't need to read off your script, just wing it. But now I was doing the exact same thing because I was like, well, no, I can't just wing it. I need to know every single thing I'm going to say because I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want people to think I don't know my stuff and just all these myriad reasons. But because I've had the patience, I'm getting somewhere, I promise, because I've had the patience to continuously record my podcast and that discipline and recording other videos and other content, I've gotten way better at literally just speaking off the cuff and just speaking what I actually know. So having that patience, I've been recording videos now for 4 years or so, 4-ish years for YouTube. I had to itch my nose, so I went around the microphone. But that's just helped tremendously. And it helps too, to get all of your thoughts in line and to talk about things. That is why we started this podcast too, was to get our thoughts in line for various other projects that we're working on to be able to better talk about things and talk to each other in a public sort of format.
Educating together.
Yes.
That, being able to jump in and add to it without interrupting completely, even though we're still working on it. We're only a few episodes in here. I don't even know. This might be 5, 6, 4, 1. Is this the first episode?
Blast off. Welcome.
But yeah, everything's a practice.
Yes.
And so what is the goal? The goal setting and expectations is important because to be patient with your podcast, your goal wasn't to be better at podcasting.
No, it was literally just to make videos.
But having the patience to see what positive outcomes and recognizing the positive outcomes as they happen, those are the small wins along the patient journey to growth and building something successful.
For sure. Yeah, it takes a lot of discipline and self-responsibility and reliability, but you can do essentially anything. And I think also asking why am I doing something is really helpful too.
Definitely.
Because a lot of people, their goal is to be well, I want 1 million subscribers. Okay, well, why? Well, because then I can monetize my channel. Okay, well, why do you want that? Well, because I want money. Okay, well, why do you want money? Because I need to pay my bills. Okay, well, let's figure out what the actual issue is, because getting 1 million subscribers doesn't solve any problems. You're not going to get there realistically. Now, it's going to take 5 years, 10 years. It's going to take so much work that when you see people with 1 million subscribers, they've done so much work before they even start a YouTube channel. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and say having 1 million subscribers gives you this much money.
Exactly.
And putting up a big goose egg.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you nothing. that isn't, you need to also have the framework, the underlying structure and strategy in place where attention gives you opportunity for money.
Mm-hmm.
Attention alone is only vanity.
Right. Yeah, you need to have the business and income in mind. Essentially, your social media should just be marketing for your business until it can become something more if you want it to be.
I only want to say more because I feel like marketing for your business, just that phrase has a lot of baggage, where I would say awareness of you, so people will know.
Well, yeah,
you.
that's what I meant.
I know it is. I only wanted to clarify just because I know people think business marketing, one thing.
No, awareness that you exist. This is what you do and this is who you are. Now buy my shit or buy from me.
Well, yeah, basically we're building up the know, like, and trust part of who we are. We want people to know us, to like us, and to trust us.
Trust us.
And then and then they'll be more likely to hire us, work with us, buy from us, support us in some way, because that is the thing. It's not all about purchasing.
Yes.
Your biggest fans, we have an episode about 1,000 true fans a few episodes ago. You can find it in the feed. But your fans will be the ones who are spreading the message about who you are, telling people that they love what you're doing. They are your, for lack of a better term, your cult members. They're the ones who are really out there because they love you and they know what's special about you.
Yes.
They're going to be telling other people. They might not give you any money, but they might drive people who are giving you money down the line and different things. That not money is everything, but this is a business podcast and we have to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. And you can make money without 1 million subscribers, without 1,000, without 100. You can.
It's surprisingly easy, but it's also extremely difficult.
It's strategy. It's understanding. Yes. That's the tough part.
Once you figure out what it is you want your product, business, whatever to be, then obviously do the work to build it and make it something. But then after that, as long as you're doing good work and you actually are enjoying it, because a lot of people don't enjoy it, but it's just, hey, I can make money from this. You can tell, like, there's a huge difference. And like, that's, I don't know, it's just yucky to me.
Well, and it's patience. What's your timeline?
Yeah.
Because if your timeline is I need to make money and I need to make it fast, mm-hmm. you're going to do things with money as your North Star.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not sustainable.
No, because then you burn out and then that's how you hate what you're doing, because that is just so what?
I was just going to say, what do we do?
What do we do?
Yeah, what do we do? So we make independently from one another, independently from each other, we both make our full amount of income, personal income, to support our lives independently. Like we have, like, I don't want to say like full-time jobs, like what we do to make money on our own satisfies full-time job salaries plus more independently.
Oh yeah.
And what is it that we do? Because I've been doing this for 12 or 13, what year is it? 23? 13, almost 14 years. I've been doing this full-time on my own, making money. Why am I not burnt out? Why are you not burnt out from all these videos and stuff? I maybe a little bit on some things, but sort of holistically.
Yeah, only when it bunches up together, then I'm editing for hours and hours and hours and hours of weeks. But after that, then I'm like, man, I haven't recorded anything in a really long time, or I haven't worked with anybody in a really long time. It's been like 3 days. Then I'm like, come on, people, chop, chop. Don't you want more videos? But yeah, we make it fun and we do things that we actually enjoy. And again, like
the diversity of things. That's what I want.
Yes. Like it's all in a similar vein of what we do, but it is very diverse and very different. Because like I have MAVEN. Well, we both are in MAVEN, but MAVEN, which is videography for realtors specifically, but also just small business owners. And then you help with the strategy and everything for the business side, which is like perfect. And then, yeah, I have an Etsy shop. I have my podcast. I have other YouTube videos. I was teaching for a bit. What the hell else do I do? Oh, copy editing and just a bunch of different things. But it's fun because it's all in a creative sort of discipline.
NFTs, art, design.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about all that. But it's just so much fun. And being able to do all of that is really cool. And same with all of your stuff. Yours is very much like branding, development, strategy, business help and everything.
Yeah, building businesses and strategy is my thing. So Spire is the design business. Built is the web development business. We have Maven, which is a videography business. And then all the other things. So Kidney Stone Diet is about health and wellness, reducing your risk for kidney stones. We do a lot with the Minimalists, which is all around minimalism and mindfulness. Like, we do a lot of different things. And that's why it's sustainable, because we're not saying, I need to make as much money as I can right now. Like, I spent a lot of time in NFTs. Helping build projects, helping people grow and do things. There was a return on that investment, but it wasn't make or break. I didn't have to be like, okay, I've spent 14 months on this and I haven't made any money. Like, I need to find a job fast. No, I have a bunch of different things going on that I enjoy. And the benefit of NFTs winding down is I actually could then come over and be like, let's push Maven. Let's do more here.
Oh, yeah.
And let's work together for the first time. Like, really, like, intimately working together.
Stop. That's for OnlyFans.
But that is the thing. The diversity keeps the burnout away, I think.
Yes. So I want to now touch on then, how do you build up your patience muscle?
Yes.
Or how do you practice patience? Because like we talked about at the beginning, he is extremely patient. I am mostly patient, but also okay, easy there. I am mostly patient, but I definitely have that cutoff for sure. So I always try to work on it and be like, okay, why am I feeling like this? Oh, I didn't leave enough time for whatever. I'm not using my time smart. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. So I try to think of it like, oh, how can I improve upon this? And why am I feeling the impatience? But I am for sure way more impatient.
Well, yeah, and it is a practice. Like, it isn't something that, like, I don't think you're either patient or impatient and you're born that way and you're fixed. Like a fixed outcome in who you are. Like, it is a philosophy on life and how we look at things.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I thought you had more.
So I tie it back to Stoicism and the whole, like, releasing control of the things we don't have control over and not deciding that things are good or bad. But this is like my 30,000 foot view, I guess. I don't know. So, like, from a practical standpoint, how do you look at improving patience or even recognizing patience in yourself, the presence or lack thereof?
I think just that self-awareness and just being like, okay, I'm feeling really angry right now. Why am I feeling like that? Just tied to patience specifically, but also just any sort of emotion like that. Like, why is this making me feel like this? So I think if you notice that, like, you're like tapping your foot and looking at your watch and just be like, whoa, like, if you can catch yourself in that, that's amazing. Cause then you can just be like, okay, what is happening right here? How can I solve this? And just read some philosophy books about patience in life. And if you think about it, you have your entire life for everything. Like, we've talked about this where it's like, hurry up and wait, where you're hurrying, constantly hurrying, you're hurrying through everything, which I 100% do. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, why did I hurry through all of that when that could have been my day and I could have made it far more enjoyable? So it's expecting something more to come. And it's kind of like a FOMO almost, where it's like, well, I don't want to miss out on what else can come if I'm busy working on this or I'm stuck with this. But that could be the thing that could bring you joy, could bring you contentedness. It's like focusing on specifically talking about like social media and like, well, I want 1 million subscribers. Where are they? Focus on the journey of getting there. Focus on making really good stuff that can actually help people or entertain people, like we talked about last week or the week before. Entertain or inform. If you can do both, that is amazing. But focus on doing one or two or both of those things. You will get there. It'll just take a little bit of time. So just be patient with yourself. Don't get discouraged and focus on your business if you need money, because a million subscribers isn't going to get you there. So just keep that in mind.
Well, and also, I think practically speaking, it's so important to reflect on the small wins, because you can be patient if you're being patient for one lone outcome and say, okay, in 24 months, I will make $100,000 in that year. Well, how about 30 days, 15 days later when you get your first client, your first sale. That's a win. That is what patience is about, I think, is measuring and recognizing your wins along the way. So people could say that you're moving the finish line, say. But like there is no finish line. If you have a finish line in what you're doing, I would actually say stop doing what you're doing and do something else, because that finish line should never come over the horizon. Because if you want to get to a completion point, it isn't the sustainable thing that you'll enjoy doing as that completion point gets further and further away.
That is very funny. When you were saying that, I was like, yeah, I don't have a finish line at all. Like, I don't really, I mean, I have benchmarks, obviously, that I would prefer
Small
to
wins.
hit. Yeah. But I mean, that's like, well, yeah, I'll get there when I get there. But that is also how we sort of talked about a little bit yesterday, how that comes from comfort. If you are uncomfortable and you want to get out of your situation and you want nothing more than to get the hell away from certain people and certain things, you're going to work your ass off. You really don't care, but you will be more impatient because you need to change your circumstance because you are not comfortable. Like, that is sort of where I come from, is this discomfort where, like, not to get too into it, but I don't even know where to go for it, but just essentially I wanted to work hard to get away from things and situations and stuff like that and just make a better life for myself where I didn't have to be dependent upon anyone. So I was going to do whatever the fuck it took and like just literally make it work. Whereas like you came more from a comfortable sort of background.
And not like wealthy, but sort of the difference being like talking about small wins. I would say I was surrounded by negative, pessimistic, impatient people. That was just like the community, sort of the environment I grew up in, like friends at school, like just everything across the board. But the difference is people would say when the whole millennials are a problem thing is like everyone's told they're the best. They get participation trophies, this and that. But that was what was different for me was like my parents constantly told me I was the best, constantly reinforced positive behavior to have me push further to be better at everything. Like I wanted to be the best. It wasn't to impress them. It was that the bar in my head was best. This is it. Like I am going to be the best at anything I do. But I had those small wins along the way handed to me that I wasn't even looking for. So like I had a lot of positive reinforcement on things that wasn't empty. They were valid reinforcement. But because of that, I think that is how I'm wired now, is I'm looking for every little bit. That whole like get 1% better every day, and that compounds immensely over a year, over a decade. Like I just want to be a little better at everything each time I do it. Like this show, this shot, I think it's fun. It's so weird and stupid, whatever. Some of these shots we're going to do some weird ones.
We should try an upside down one.
I mean,
you're going to pass out.
The one that we tried just tinkering with the shot.
That was very funny.
We're going to do silly things, but it's like, it's not what's better.
We should do that next week.
We might. Doing a weird shot for this podcast. Is that better? It's fun. And that's a win for me. If I can get people to look at the next thumbnail or like just like a clip and be like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are they shooting it like that? That is satisfying and a win for me. Because
it's fun. It's creative. And it's funny because I actually had a quote that was about patience and creativity. If there's a rule to creativity that's less breakable than the others, it's that the need for patience is ever present. Jesus. I fucked that up. But patience is required for taking in new information and trying to create with that information. It's part of the creative process. Like I got that from The Creative Act, which is a really great book. So you should read it.
Well, yeah. And to be great at anything, you have to have the patience to get past sucking. Mm-hmm. Like
it's hard.
Well, yeah. We get satisfaction from things we're good at. If you only want to be good at something and you're like, I am going to be good at basketball. And then the first shot you miss And then you're like, okay, let me go to something else. You're never going to grow. You're never going to get anywhere. So there has to be some degree of patience, but maybe it's like patience to make your first shot, but maybe it's patience to make 5 in a row. Like, that is funny. I didn't even mean to think this way, but I would be outside in the driveway at my parents' house growing up, shooting the same shot over and over and over again until I could get a certain number in a row. I didn't play basketball. I never wanted to be on a team, but I wanted to be able to make shots. I don't know. That just popped in my head, and it's funny because I don't think basketball isn't my sport. It's football. But like, anyway, it's a little tangent.
We got Michael Jordan over here.
No. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, Jeffrey Michael Sarris, just saying.
Whoa, that's weird. Basketball champ.
No, but yeah, anyway.
So do you have a final thought on how to practice patience?
Like for me, it's the small wins. It's realizing the importance of having little markers.
Yeah, like celebrating those, but then not letting that sort of be your final resting place, if you will, unless that's fine for you, which that is great. Like do whatever makes you happy. But yeah, don't forget to celebrate those because I 100% don't do that. And I know that's something that you've tried to help me. I'm like, no, fuck it. That doesn't matter. I need to get to X. So, yeah.
Well, and I think
so I'm not patient is what I'm learning.
No. But I think that's combined with action. Like the other part is you have to be doing more exploration of things you enjoy. So it isn't like, let me do more of these things I hate to make more money. It's like, no, look at that book. That book's interesting. Let me read this book. It has nothing to do with business, nothing to do with anything, but you're expanding your connections because action yields opportunity, yields experience. Yeah. Experience yields opportunity. Opportunity necessitates more action. This is like, I need to come up with a name for this because I say it all the time and I've tweeted method. It. I know, right? The Sarris system. Hello.
Sarris cycle.
Ooh, that's good.
There you go.
Sarris cycle.
Sarris cycle. What are you riding? Sarris cycle.
Okay, so we are basically at time.
Yes.
How do you want to close out your thoughts? Don't do that to your
microphone smells weird.
Your cute little nose. How do you want to close out your thoughts on patience?
I guess just along what you were saying, always be curious, always be creating, no matter what it is. Like creating isn't just putting...
That was like your outro for your show. So.
Oh yeah, I'm Amara Andrew, never stop creating. Oh, look at that. But genuinely, like do not stop being curious, do not stop being creative. And if you notice those things in yourself when you were feeling impatient, feel it, make sense of it, try to rationalize what is this and why am I feeling this? And then you can move on and be a better person. So that's it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, this isn't a joke. This is an actual quote from Teller, from Penn and Teller.
Oh.
Yeah, because like it ties to this. And I always found this amazing. I prefer to read it so I say it exactly right. But one of the greatest magicians of all time. And the quote is, sometimes magic is just someone spending more time on something than anyone else might reasonably expect. There's jokes that I keep saying jokes. We're so much into comedians, but there are magic tricks. There's illusions that Penn and Teller developed for decades before performing the first time. Because putting in that practice, putting in that time, having that patience gets you extraordinary results. Extraordinary results are extraordinary. The ordinary results are what everyone else is doing. But if you're patient and dedicated and focused and learning as you go, you can get extraordinary results in anything you do.
I really wanted to go da, 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 da. Well, behind you, it sounded like a speech, but it was very motivational. Good job.
My fellow Mavens, today, okay, anyway, so we should probably be wrapping up. If you have a question...
Oh, yeah, call in.
We have a voicemail box.
All right, don't call.
So the phone number is 530-628-3611. That's 530-MAVEN11.
Ooh, or write us a letter. That would be fun.
You could write us a letter at our social media accounts, at Jeff Sarris, at Amara Andrew most of the time.
Yeah, kind of.
But yeah, that number, 530-628-3611. We would love to answer any and all questions about entrepreneurship, any silly question, whatever you have. videography, if you're a realtor, I'm slurring my words. I think it's about time to wrap. But so your recommendation this week, if we did have a recommendation.
You go first.
Well, I was just going to say, you already sort of recommended something.
Yeah, the book.
Yeah. Would that be a recommendation? Do you think our dear listener should? Well, like we have no expectations of numbers, listeners, views, whatever. We're here to create, practice, get better, and help you get better.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, this is at least helpful to one fucking person. If you're out there, Greg, say hi.
Greg.
I keep picking that name. I don't know why. Yeah, the Creative Act is amazing. At first, by Rick Rubin.
I don't know why you give it that accent, but
I don't know.
I think you probably recommended it last week. Now that I think about it,
yeah, I did, but that's fine. I'll recommend it again. Yeah, it's really good. At first, I wasn't too into it because it felt very flowery of writing. Like it felt too ephemeral and kind of nebulous with thoughts and things like that. So I was like, oh God, I feel like I'm back in grad school. But then as I was reading it, I was like, oh no, like it's kind of, you need to read it slowly. This isn't a skim to get knowledge or information.
Are you saying this is a book that you should read patiently?
Oh my God, I did. I didn't even mean to. Yes. And literally, he actually has a whole chapter on patience, which was weird because I literally opened the book this morning and where I left off was the patience chapter. So fucking
And
weird.
we had this topic already planned.
We already talked about it. Yeah, yesterday, which was really weird. And I sent it to him while he was still sleeping this morning. I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. Creative Act again for week number 2 in a row. Maybe even week 3. I think I also recommended it on my other podcast. So
good.
I just love it.
And what's his name again?
Rick Rubin. It's very inspirational.
I don't know why you give it.
Why not?
He does not pronounce his name that way. If you haven't seen him,
Sarris.
thank you.
Amara Andrew.
Wow. All right. So
What's up?
to close out,
Oh God.
why does it take pirates so long to learn the alphabet?
Because they only know R.
Why does it take pirates so long to learn the alphabet? Because they could spend years at sea.
Oh God. See, patience. Be a patient pirate.
All right. Thanks for watching What is Maven? Watching, listening, wherever you are.
Yeah.
And we will see you next time.
Yeah, and let us know in the comments below what you do to be patient. Tell us. Bye.